Hello and welcome back to the Action RPG series. In our previous episodes, we've set up our damage for our first ability, but now let's talk about how to make the cooldown of this ability and improve the ability system to be more dynamic and flexible when it comes to applying other abilities to our game. So let's jump in and get started. So welcome back to the Action RPG project. We last time worked on our first ability, Slash. And so we can go up to our character and slash them with an attack and deal damage to them. Now, to make this more Diablo-like, we're going to, first of all, fix up our ability system to be more dynamic. So we can change spells in and out. We can have cooldowns. And also, if I were to click and hold on a target, they would repeat the attack. Okay, so right now I'm holding it down. It's done it once, it's not repeating it. I have to click again in order to do that, which is not what we want. So let's go through the ability system and make it work for many types of actors. So the first thing you need to do is the cooldown. So what you're going to do is you go to the ability parent, and we've already set up the ability details cooldown stat. And what you're going to do on begin play is you can do set the lifespan of the ability, not the effect, the ability, to this cooldown value. And we'll set a default value of cooldown to be like 0.5 or something like that. Actually, I'll change it to 1, make it a bit more uniform. Yeah, so that what will happen there is the ability will spawn in, do its effects, and then the ability will cool down and then destroy itself. So on our player character, so as you can see, we've got it hard coded in with ability slash. What we need to have is an array of the abilities that we've got assigned to our character at any one moment. Now, for this, I'm going to actually make a component because then I can add it to also to my enemies and give them the same sort of system. So we're going to go into our abilities folder, and I'm going to create a blueprint class and choose actor component. And this will be, we'll call it Spellbook Component. There we go. And inside our spellbook component, we're going to have a variable array. And this will be of the abilities we've got assigned to our hotbar. So we do assigned abilities. And the type for this will be the parent class of the ability object. So ability class reference. And it'll be an array. And when we're playing the game, at the bottom of the screen, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, left click, right click. What we'll do is keep things simple. 1, 2, 3, 4 will be the position 1, 2, and 3, and 4 in the array. Left click will be 0, and then right click will be index 5. So it's a little bit out of order on here, but it makes the most sense when you're trying to do this on in the actual code. So we'll make it work for that. So I'm going to go back to my spellbook component, and I'm going to add 6 items to this. No, yeah, 6 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. And so left click is going to be index 0. I'm going to choose my ability slash for that one. And if I expand open, you'll see it there. Ability slash. I'm going to hit compile and save that and close it. Go back to my character. I'm going to add the spellbook component to our character here. And again, easy to put a spellbook component on another actor, like an enemy, because then they can use the exact same ability system and be work exactly the same. I don't have to do anything different, really, and then it will just work. So on here, we need to make it work with our spellbook component. So when we do spawn ability slash, we've got primary attack going on over here. What I actually want to do here is I want to get the spellbook component, get the ability, assigned abilities, and I want to get a copy of index 0, because that's going to be left click. Now go into class there. So that will now generate a generic ability based upon whatever we assign to our ability slots here. We then on the right hand side on the return value, you're going to promote that to a variable. So promote to variable, and we'll do attack, or do ability. So we'll do ability 0. We'll call it _0. And so we've got a reference to it. So what will happen is we can only do primary attack if this doesn't exist. If this does not exist, that means the previous actor got destroyed. So before we do the primary attack actually there, we're going to drag out ability 0 and convert that to a validated get. So when I plug that in to is not valid, it means it will spawn in a new ability. Okay. So that's the basic gist of the cooldown system. We next need to make it so we can basically loop the attack as we're clicking the button. And that is going to be working tandem with the top-down controller. So on the top-down controller, we have the set destination click. When we click on it, it's going to get a location under cursor. And if it hits something, we're just going to walk to that location. Now, with a target that we're attacking, the way it works is if we are close enough to the target, we're not going to walk. We're just going to attack it. So that is what we've got to set up. We've got to know if we're clicking on a target that could be attacked. That could be an enemy, could be like a bit of scenery, could be all sorts of things. So we do that, and then we need to still cache the destination, but then we check its distance from the minimum target distance of the ability. Because if it's a ranged ability, they'll just shoot the ability. So we'll be handling destination click on here. Right, so what we're going to do is go into our get location under cursor in the top-down controller. And in here, you'll see what they're doing. They're doing a get hit result under cursor using the visibility trace. What I'm going to do is make another trace channel for damageable items. And that includes enemies and environment. And we're going to check if that also got hit by a cursor. So I'm going to go into my project settings, go into collision, trace channels, new trace channel, and we'll search and type in damageable. And the default response for this is going to be ignore. So most objects in the game are not going to be damageable. We then do a get hit result. Might have to compile this. Again, do that. And here we're going to do damageable. So the first thing I'm going to do in this little function here is I'm going to edit it. So it's going to check first of all for a damageable object. It's going to take priority over attacking things. So we're going to put that into a branch like so. If it's not damageable, then it just carry on like normal down here. If it is damageable, I then need to store who we are going for, or the location of them at least anyway. But I need to know if we are actually returning a hit on a damageable actor. So I'm going to go to my return node and add a new output to it. And we'll call it damageable actor. And I'm going to leave that false there and just bring this back up here onto true. And we'll do on the hit result break. And it's basically the same as what we've got down here. So blocking hit will go there. Location will go there. And damageable actor will be true. So now on the event graph, we've got an extra Boolean coming out when we're saying, okay, we've got something to hit. So hit will return true or false whether we hit anything, which is going to be the case when we hit anything at all. So that's still okay. We still want it to follow. But the damageable actor, I want to take this out of here and do a branch. And this will go before the follow. And that'll be false, will go to follow. So put it, whenever you're editing code that's been made by someone else, it's a good idea to make the connections, when you insert something, make the connections back up to make it work as it was before you come into it. So this will work as it was before. We just now got to insert what we want to do on the true here. So on the true here, we need to check our destination against our active destination, work out a distance, and then check for the ability for click. It's only the first ability we're about because that's the only one that's assigned to left click. We're going to check that ability and check its range. So on the true, we need to get the distance. So I'm going to do cache distance here. I go down here, cache distance, and I'm going to do distance vector, and the second vector will be the controlled pawns actor. And what I'm going to do, because I'm going to need a reference to it anyway for the spellbook, I'm going to go onto my begin play and get player character cast to top down character, and then promote to a variable. So I've got a reference to it. And then I can drag that out and get its actor location. Okay, so now we've got a distance value. We need to compare that against our character's spellbook's range. So again, from my top-down character, I'm going to search for the spellbook component. We can get the abilities assigned, and we can get the 0 index ability. And from there, if I go to class defaults, I can get all the information about that ability. Now, one thing we'll need to do on here is the range of the ability. So I'm going to go back to my ability parent and add a new variable to this one for range. I don't believe it's in targeting. No. So this would be a float. And we'll put that into ability details. And we'll set a default range of this to be, I don't know, 150, something like that. So that's a melee sort of range. Going to go back to the top-down controller, and we'll now see ranges on the list. And you don't have to have them all, you just need range, and you can hide down selected pins in a minute. So we'll just take the range here, and we're going to say if the range, if this value is less than or equal to the range. And I now click on hide unconnected pins to make that a bit smaller. Okay. Now I've got a complex looking thing here. To make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to make this a function. So I'm going to right click on it and collapse the function. And do is in range. And to make this more useful for me, I can do a number of things for the parameters. First of all, we need to do a return node. And we're going to output this boolean. And yeah, I can use this function for all sorts of things. So I just need to change the parameter on here. So on that 0 there, I just need to add an input and do ability index. And I can now search for ability index in here. So I can feed it any ability and it will return its range for me and check whether it's in range. And if I wanted to, I can make this a pure function as well. The reason why I can make it a pure function is because we're not changing anything, we're just reading and calculating data. So on my thing, we've got this is in range. So a lot nicer, a lot tidier and easier to manage. So on the true of this branch here, we're going to go is in range and put that in a branch. And on triggered here, we're going to trigger the primary attack. Of the top-down character. There you go. Primary attack. Now, this is the only one that's special because it's left click, and left click is used for many things. So it's totally unique in this case. So that'll go to primary attack here, go through this, spawn actor, spawn the ability, and won't spawn it again because it's going to be ticking basically because this is set on triggered. So as you're holding the button down, it's going to do this check and go through all those motions. Yeah, there you go. So let's take a look and see how that's working now. And oh, wait, I need to do on clicked dummy. I'm going to turn off the on clicked primary attack. Let's turn that off. That's what we did last time. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so we've got him moving. The issue is I forgot to turn on the collision for that damage ball thing. Silly me. Right, let's go to the dummy, go to the capital component, and go down to collision settings, open presets, and we're going to turn on block for damage ball. There we go. Right, let's try that again. Okay, so we've got a slight issue in that he won't move unless I'm off of the screen. But you can see it looping, which is good. But I know the reason why that's not working is because I forgot to put follow back on the end of this because it needs to still do following if it's in range. So we go false, follow, and we'll just do the cache direct destination there. So if it isn't in range, it'll walk towards it. Okay. So now my character's looping the attack. They're not running towards him anymore. And we can go through. And that loop is happening because I've set that cooldown to 1 second. So that ability is getting spawned in and getting destroyed within a second. Yeah. I'm still holding down the button. I haven't taken my finger off the button. There you go. And there you have it. We've now got a ability cooldown working, but we haven't got anything visual yet to show. So what we're going to do in our next episode is add the UI for our progress bars on our hotbar to show the cooldown in action. You can watch the next episode right now on patreon.com/Ryan Laley. We can find all my videos early from just $1 a month. Thank you to all my patrons and YouTube members for their continued support. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time.